Hello guys, welcome back to another review, and today I'm going to be reviewing my very first Yankee vehicle, which is cool. My very first American vehicle. This here is the M5 Stuart tank by cbcustombricks.de, which is a pretty cool website. Now this is one of their plug-in modules, as they like to call it, which basically I'll go out and explain that a little bit better after I talk about the history of this thing. So M5 Stuart was an American light tank, used pretty extensively throughout World War II. I believe it was introduced alongside the M3 Stuart, maybe a little bit later, and it was basically a very widely used light tank of the Americans in World War II, and it saw service in quite a lot of fronts. It saw service in of course, the Western Front. It saw service in the Pacific Theater, I believe, as well. And, it's just a pretty cool tank. It was quite a widely used tank throughout World War II. Now, of course, by the end of the war, as you know, they were eventually replaced by the M24 Chaffee, but that was very late war. So these had actually a pretty substantial service life throughout the war. And actually what is cool and kind of curious is that some countries still have these vehicles in service to this day. I believe some South American countries, I want to say Peru has them in service, but I'm not sure if it's Peru. It's one of the South American countries actually still have them in service, which is kind of cool and interesting, considering they're a World War II tank. So yeah, there's just, I guess, some brief overview of these tanks, and very common tanks amongst the Allies, the Stuart family, especially the M3 Stuart, that was quite heavily used, not only just by the Americans, but also by the Canadians and the British and Commonwealth forces. I believe even the Soviets had a few, and the M5 Stuart, which I don't think the British had him as much as the M3 Stuart, but maybe they could have potentially still had him in service. I'm not sure. Regardless, these are a very cool tank, and yeah. Now let's talk about the plug-in module thing. Now, this model, first of all, I just want to talk about the price. I don't usually talk about the price of these models. Well, that's not necessarily true, but I don't want to talk about the exact price. This thing cost me 25 bucks, 25 euros. And I know you're thinking, wow, that's insane. Why would I want to get Brookmania again if I could just get this? Well, it turns out I was extremely excited when I found out that this was 25 bucks. But you probably noticed, these are not Lego bricks. These are alt bricks. These are probably bootlegged I want to say these are Chinese bricks. Maybe they're not. Maybe it's CB's own make. Maybe they actually manufacture their own bricks. Which, if that's the case, that's pretty cool. But I don't think that's the case, because wouldn't they advertise that in the description, in the model? Nowhere it says that these are made out of, our own self-made brand of bricks. No, they don't say that. These are basically, I want to say these are just crappy Chinese alt bricks, which I don't really like. I kind of wish, I'd much rather have a model that's made out of Lego bricks and is, a little bit higher priced, because I know at least I'm going to get quality in the bricks. And the quality of these bricks, not too bad. I think, honestly, I've seen a lot worse, but I've also seen better. These bricks, for the most part, stay together. I say for the most part because when it comes to just the basic bricks, the tiles and stuff like that, they stay together just fine. But when you go into the suspension of the model, like the wheels and stuff, tend to have a little bit of a harder time. Some of them, the wheels just go in way too easily, don't come out. Other times the wheels just are extremely hard to put in. So it's kind of a weird model, shall we say. Enough of that, though. Let's talk about the actual tank itself. Now, first of all, this has 605 pieces, and actually how this works is that they send you just a bag filled with bricks, and then you get the instructions digitally. You get a download link for the instructions sent to you via email, and then you download the instructions and build the model. What is funny, though, one thing I want to comment on is the color of the model. I know that's a bit weird, but the model, as you can see, is in this nice dark greenish color, which I quite like. Now, usually you get the models in gray. I would have preferred it to be in a dark gray color because that's the most realistic. But dark green isn't too unrealistic either. What is funny though, when I did buy the model and I saw the photo, they have like an actual physical photo of the model, not just a digital one, and they have basically the model was like in a bright greenish color, which looked horrible. I mean, it looked like an Army Men tank vehicle. Like if you've seen those toy Army Men, it looked like a tank that belonged to them. Actually, if you've ever seen those Lego Toy Story sets that come with the little Army Men figures, that's the exact same color that was in. It was in a very bright greenish color, which was not realistic at all. And thankfully, these bricks are not in that bright greenish color. I don't know if that was a prototype model or if that was just bad camera quality or bad sunlight or something. I have no idea. But, well, camera quality isn't going to affect the color, but you get what I mean. A bad camera, maybe they had funny settings on it or something. But regardless, I do like how the model comes in a dark green. It kind of reminds me of, like, museum tanks, because usually, for some reason, in museums, they like to paint up their tanks green, which makes sense, I guess. But this is still a cool color. Let's finally talk about the model. First of all, I just want to say it does not come with a figure, and the gun just fell. It does not come with a figure. The figure is actually just... it's just a figure that I put in there just for the heck of it. Just so I could show you that this does work with figures, even though it doesn't come with any. So, let's talk about the model itself. Now, first of all, I'd like to say, I do like the model. I think it's quite accurate. It's nice looking, you know. It's just a decent looking design. I think it looks quite a lot like the M3 Stuart. No, the M5 Stuart. You know, they got the tracks right and all that kind of stuff. However, I'm not entirely satisfied on the actual total design of the model. I think the hull of the tank looks great. It looks pretty damn accurate to the M5 Stuart. But I'm not a big fan of the turret because I don't like how the turret has these two massive gaps on the side of it. Now, recently, actually, kind of recently, Brickbane came out with a M5 Stuart, and that version had a much better turret, I think. The gaps... There wasn't any gaps in the turret, and there's even gaps on the back. Actually, I kind of try to fix that by filling it out with some bricks, you know, which I think helped it a little bit. Actually, some of them fell out because I ended up breaking the turret yesterday. Yeah, not a bad model. I guess we should talk over some of the features this thing has got. So let's start out. And this is where I think this tank really shines, is in features and in functionality. First of all, let's go over the basic features of what you would expect. The turret turns, however, not entirely. It turns, but not 360 degrees. It can only turn side to side, really, like that. But there is a way to fix that. Now, as you can see, this is how the turret is held on. You can actually move this little I think it's a 1x2x3 brick. If you move that forward and you put the turret down, you can actually turn it. Actually, hold on, one more thing I need to do. There's also these little, and as you can see that, there's a little 1x2 slope piece in there. If you pull that away, and you put the turret in there, you can then turn it 360 degrees, which I guess is useful for some stop motions if you want to have like a tank aim the gun sideways. But I'm not going to do that, you know, for... I'm not going to keep the tank like that because it makes the turret look a bit funny because it's kind of it's a little too much to the front, I guess. Now it has a brick-built machine gun, which is cool. I would have preferred it brick arms, but I guess that reduces the price, so yeah. I will replace it with the brick arms eventually, though, but it does turn all the way around, although it's a bit fragile, and it can move all the way up. So you can shoot at aircraft, because this is actually an anti-aircraft machine gun. Many people think these are actual anti-personnel, which is not true. These are mainly for taking out aircraft. Now the gun can point up and down a little bit. Not too much, but it can do it enough, I guess. It can shoot at those Germans in the second story of a building, so, you know, whatever. Now, normally, of course, it has very nice track system, and these tracks actually turn very nicely. I was surprised by that because I thought the tracks were not going to turn very nicely at all, but no, they turn great. What's cool though, now I don't have that to show you guys, but they actually give you two different examples of this kind of piece here. They give you one of these screwdriver pieces, and then they have another one which is like sort of a rounded shape. Actually, hold on a minute, I'll go get it. I am back. And I brought this little buddy with me. So this is the piece that comes. They give you a different one. They can replace this little screwdriver piece here that's connected to the back wheel of the tank. You can actually replace that so you can have it kind of overlap around the little Technic pin there, which is a little bit more accurate to the real tank. I think the real one has that kind of thing going on with it too. However, I didn't really put them on. I actually had them on originally, but I took them off because they kind of hinder the tank when it's turning. I mean, it doesn't really, like, it doesn't affect the tracks, but it's just a little bit annoying because you're trying to turn the tank and these little pieces keep falling off. So I decided to take them off. And I think they're better suited for display, although they do look quite nice. But yeah, that was that. Now, we went over the features of the tank, you know, turning tracks, turret, you know, gun, all that. Oh yeah, I forgot. Of course, it's got an opening hatch. You can fit a figure in there. Now, normally that would be enough for me to like a tank, but they went all out with the features of this thing, like I said, which I think is fantastic. So, the back engine compartment does open up, which is really cool. So, if I can get in there, you can see the engine, which is really nice touch, and it's pretty accurate to how the actual tank, how you would get to the engines of the real tank. That's how more or less it, that's more or less how it would work. Speaking of getting to the engines, you probably noticed there's a big gap in between the back of the in the back of the tank, really. That's because you can actually, if you move this brick back, actually it's better if I take off the turret. It's gonna be a bit of a pain to access, but just bear with me. Ah, crap. Thanks, Chinese bricks. Anyways, here you go. Here's the inside. You can see the engine in there, which is cool. You can even take it off if you want, but I'm not going to do that because it's kind of a pain to get it back on there. And this tank is not really cooperating with me here in the reviews, so yeah. Now, one awesome thing you can do, and this will involve destroying the tank, but I figured I'd show you. You can actually fit a figure inside of the tank, which is really cool. So if I just... You have to just take the front off, though, to do it. I kind of wish there was a better way of doing it. But you have to remove the front. If I just take my good old Brickmania tanker here, put it in there. And then you can see it fits. And it will close with the figure in there. I have tried that. You'll just have to take my word for it because I really don't feel like putting the figure in there. Because, again, it's a pain to do so. You could see... And I might have to cut the video just to show you because it's, yeah, I might have to cut the video to be able to, I might have to cut the video right now because just to put this thing back together. Yeah, I couldn't think of what to say. Can I? No, I don't have to. I don't have to. It's back. It's back. It's working. Alright, put the machine gun back in there. Kind of cool. Oh, it's not fitting. Come on. Please. Just... Thank you. Oh, this kind of frustrates me. There you go. There's one more feature. You notice how the turret is like this? You can put a figure in there. You can actually have a figure inside of the turret, which is really cool. And just like that, hold on, just like that, he's in there. Now, it does restrict the motion of the turret quite a lot. Actually, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I take that back. But it's really awesome, and you can see he is in there. That's incredible. I really like that. The functionality of this thing is incredible. So you can actually have, maybe not 3 people in this tank, maybe 2, but if you could probably squeeze a 3rd one in there. You can actually have 3 people in this tank. And there's the functionalities of it. Incredible. In many ways, this is kind of like a miniature scale Brickmania Panther tank. And I know that sounds ridiculous. I mean, it's an entirely different tank from an entirely different country. But in terms of functionality, because if you remember that review, I commented, you know, there was an opening hatch, turning turret, gun elevates. You can put two figures inside of the tank, and it's got access to the engine compartment. The only thing it doesn't have is the suspension. But of course, with a tank this small, you can't complain. Also, it would have been really hard to get a suspension considering the tracks layout of the Stuart tank is quite complicated compared to, well, quite different compared to like the German tank. Actually, it's more simplistic in real life. But yeah, there you go. That is really cool. I am very happy with this tank. I think it's a fantastic tank. However, remember I commented on the alt bricks? Well, yeah, fragility is a massive problem with this model. There are some sections of the model that just will not stay together, no matter how much you wanted to. In fact, if I show you on the bottoms of the tracks here, I actually put these tan 1x4 bricks on the bottom just to hold up the wheels because they literally would not stay together. They kept falling off, which is quite annoying. So I fixed that problem. But it's quite annoying with the fragility. So you have to handle this model a little bit carefully and patiently, as you saw in the review. Alright, size comparison. Here it is next to the Brickmania Wheelies Jeep, which is a standard kit. Just so you can kind of get an idea how big this tank is. It is actually quite tall, which is nice. Now, if I take an actual proper tank, here is a Renault FT17 Water 1 tank. You can see the size is actually more or less, they're more or less the same size, length. I mean, width, of course, this tank's a lot wider. And I think a proper tank to compare this to is a Italian Caro Armato tank. Now we're just got a guy in there, but as you can see, they're pretty much the same exact size. The Stuart is a little taller, as you can see, but not by much. I mean, they're kind of the same, more or less the same sort of tank, I guess, in there. I mean, they're both light tanks, you know, stuff like that. So, final verdict time. I think this is a fantastic model. Oh yeah, one more thing I forgot to talk about. Not final verdict time. Damn it, this review has been all over the place. I'm sorry about that. But this thing does come with stickers. Well, not necessarily stickers, but instead water slide decals. Now, I did not apply them, of course, but here they are. You can I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but there's American stars in there, which I don't think a camera will pick up. Very slightly you can see there. And then there's also engine details. But I didn't put them on because I can't stand water slide decals. I think they're really tedious to get on. So instead, what I did is I just took some stickers from Brickmania kit and I put them on the tank. So there you go. Anyways, final verdict time. There you go. Here's a real final verdict. I think this is a great model, but it's not entirely a positive model. Now, this is a great replacement for the Brickmania M5 Stuart if that's out of your price range. I mean, $25, you can't really complain too much. But I think what really hurts this model is the alt bricks. I mean, it benefits the model in price, and it benefits a lot of people in price. But I think it also hurts the model in, well, fragility. I really would have preferred if maybe CB could, you know, try to use better quality alt bricks if they had to. I mean, they're not bad. They're definitely better than most fake Legos I've seen, but this is just, I kind of wish it was a little bit better. But the design of the tank is fantastic for the most part. I really like how they designed the hull. Not a big fan of the turret. I'm going to modify this turret later, add some bricks on the side, just to prevent it from looking atrocious. But, atrocious isn't the right word, but still. I think functionality, though, this model is incredible. I mean, it's got everything. It's got, you know, moving turret, machine guns. You can put figures inside of the tank. There's an engine compartment. Great turning tracks. It's a fantastic looking model for that reason alone. Would I recommend this model? Yes and no. I mean, it really depends on what if you're a purist and if you don't want to use any other bricks, then this is not for you because it doesn't use Lego bricks. But this is great for people that maybe are not can't afford Brickmania kits, and this is a fantastic model. I mean, their plug-in modules are fantastic because they've got all kinds of different tanks in World War II. They don't just have this one. They have, you know, they have a King Tiger. They have a Panzerwerfer. They have a half-track. I think they have a Priest. You know, they have all kinds of different models. So this is fantastic for that reason. So I do recommend this tank. I think it's a great replacement to the Brickmania tank, and it's a really nice-looking model in general. It looks great. But the alt bricks really hurt the model. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.